So it is crazy that I do think AEW is really good right now, but the thing that I'm coming out of it wanting to talk about is the Beast Mortos, who has not won a match since the 28th of July. I think something needs to change. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we're talking about AEW Dynamite. In particular, we are talking about what is next for the Beast Mortos, because I feel like I am in a time loop where I am reliving the same thing again and again and again at this point, where we have really hot baby faces and they're not capitalised on in AEW. It happened with Hook, it happened with Wardlow, and now I feel like it's happening with the Beast Mortos, who fans are just clamouring to get a huge push, but it doesn't seem to be happening. So I want to discuss what's next for the Beast Mortos and how I would sort of book him going forward. Before I dive into that, please subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try and apply to every single one of them as we dive into this. So as I was saying, the Beast Mortos has really sort of taken off. I've seen people clamouring for merch, for masks, for all sorts, because Mortos is such an incredibly unique character and wrestler that of course people were going to latch onto him when he was getting this exposure, when he was having these banging matches on Collision with the likes of Hologram and the banging match that he had against Ricochet on Dynamite. So I think people really want this guy to be pushed to the top. Like, he's so good, and we don't want him to fall into the trap of the Hooks, the Wardlows, the Luchasauruses, who all seem like they're on the cusp of breaking through, but never managed to, which I think is unfortunate. But this is my sort of 6-step plan to how I would get a big push for the Beast Mortos going forward, and we'll dive into that with my 6th point. Now, you might think that 6 is a very, very strange number, but I thought of 6 points and I didn't want to narrow it down to 5, so we're going with 6. And the first one that I would do, squash Hook. Now, Hook is a guy who is pretty credible. He has been in the top of the world title scene. He had the feud with Joe, but he always drops back down to the FTW Championship level. I don't want this to be for an FTW Championship. Instead, what happens when the man who does the squash matches is the one who gets squashed? I think Mortos just running through Hook and decimating him. 1, 2, 3. Mortos has beaten one of the most protected guys on the roster. Granted, the Jericho feud happened, but we'll ignore that. And that sort of that elevates him. That elevates him from the Mark Sterling stuff, from the Kingdom stuff. He's just squashed the FTW champion, who very rarely takes pinfall losses. I think there's an easy way to do that. Like, Hook doesn't lose anything because every time he gets up to the top, he's just plummeted back down anyway. So yeah, why not squash Hook and get Mortos over in that way? Like, that would establish him as a proper big threat in the division. Following this, I would have Mortos turn face, because he's getting such organic reactions. People are loving him on social media that you don't need to do a big split up or anything like that, or the group turn on him. You can if you want, but I think people are just inclined to cheer for him now because he's that cool. So all you need to do is just tweak his character a little bit where he doesn't go into the heel tendencies and doesn't align with heels like the Kingdom or anything like that. You've got Mortos just wrecking people, and people are going to love it. Like, that would just work. He beats Hook and then turns face. Fair enough. I think that's easy to do. And then the big one, which will give people some hesitation, but the big point after turning Mortos face, squash Chris Jericho. I don't want a feud. I don't want these guys feuding for an eternity. I want Mortos to to squash, to destroy Chris Jericho. Maybe he even writes off Chris Jericho, because what a reaction he would get if he destroys Jericho. Jericho's taken out on a stretcher and Jericho goes away for a little bit. He saved us from the learning tree. We don't have to deal with Chris Jericho for a while. I think that would get Mortos the biggest babyface reaction in like the past year, because I think people are so sick of Jericho and people want to see Mortos so badly that pairing them two, he would be so over following that. So my third point, I know I've done a lot of squash matches, but following this, beat, not squash, beat Samoa Joe. Now, Samoa Joe is filming, I think he's filming the second season of Twisted Metal at the moment. Joe as an unstoppable force, sharing the ring with the Beast Mortos in an incredibly hard-hitting banger, would get both guys over and just let them go mad for like 10-15 minutes. You'll get meat chants, you will get insane spot after insane spot, and ultimately Joe puts over Mortos as the next big threat, potentially vying for either a mid-card belt or pushing into the world title scene. I think the pairing of those two together would work really nicely, and I think their styles would blend really well. So Samoa Joe versus Beast Mortos. If for nothing else, selfishly, that would just be an insanely good match, and I'd really want to see it. Then we have to figure out what title Mortos is going to be going for. Now, unfortunately, I want to see... Well, this isn't unfortunate. I want to see him win a belt, personally. I don't want to see him just be a challenger and then drop all the way back down. I want to see Mortos holding a title, and I actually think the best ones for him to vie for are the tag team belts. I think pairing him up with Hologram's organically over, Mortos is incredibly organically over, pairing them two together, vying for the tag belts, I think that could make for a really interesting pairing. It'd be really unique. You don't need a lot of dialogue or speaking. Their sort of in-ring work speaks for themselves, and I think they'd be a threat that the Young Bucks wouldn't know how to deal with. They know how to deal with the Acclaim, they know how to deal with FTR, but when they've got Hologram and Mortos walking up to them, I think the EVPs would be a bit unsure of themselves, they wouldn't know what to do and how to handle that situation. So I think that would be not only funny, I think it'd be nice to interesting character development for the Bucks, and I think they produce a banging match out of it. And then my number one point in this 6-step plan for Mortos: have them win the tag titles, have them beat the Young Bucks, and then have Hologram and Mortos as your tag team champions. I think that just works. I don't think we need a big breakup story with them. They can just go on a tear as tag champs, putting on excellent matches on Collision, on potentially Shockwave, on Dynamite, and just having a really cool Lucha Libre-esque team in the division. Like, you've got the talent there, but going back to my other video that I did about the tag team division, introducing a new team and giving them a reason to fight for the tag belts, I think works. I think that would work really nicely. You know, the division is deep enough that you could have tag team matches with Mortos and Hologram just going forward, and then beating the Young Bucks and being the new tag champs. I think that's the right way to go. And from there, you can just have them plow through everyone, and you can expand going forward. Maybe Hologram goes for the international title, maybe Mortos goes for the TNT title, and yeah, you've got two really strong characters bolstering a tag division. I think that's how Mortos should be used moving forward. I don't want to see another Wardlow situation. I don't want to see another Hook situation. We are behind the Beast Mortos, Tony Khan, so please push him to the moon. And that's the end of my video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you a fan? Are you not? Let me know. I'll try to reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.